welcome to AFAC CMO Dialogues. Today we have with us Debosmita Majumdar, CMO WeWork. Debosmita started her career as a PR professional and became a full-time marketer with Puma around a decade ago. Welcome to our CMO Dialogues. We look forward to having an interesting conversation with you. Debosmita, you've been in the industry for almost 2 decades. What are some of the unique opportunities marketers have today that did not exist when you started out?
If you talk about marketing, it has evolved a lot, right, over the years. I mean, in many, many ways. One is how one does marketing, like from it being it's been all about the brand talking to the consumer to opening up like a two-way communication where it's more about brands listening to their consumer and then creating products. I think that's one big thing. The second thing, I think it has become like this beautiful interjection of science and art, right? Because there's a lot of insights, data crunching that happens in marketing. So we draw a lot of insight, and with that insight, we are supposed to create beautiful content which could be appealing to the audience. So I think that is one big shift. I mean, if you talk about the last 2 decades, I think the advent of social media and digital marketing, one cannot ignore, correct? So I think that really has changed the landscape of marketing, how it's done, what is expected out of a marketer, how marketing is just not about, building brand. There is direct impact to business that marketers today are able to create with with the value they bring to the table. I mean, today I think a marketer can sit with the CFO on the table and have a very clear discussion on how marketing could impact the numbers also. So I think that's a big change that has happened over the years. What other things? I mean, of course, influencer marketing. I think that advocacy marketing, one can say, is also something that came up, and there was a big boom, especially in some sectors. I mean, influencers played such a critical role that today creators, it actually became a profession, a very legitimate profession. So I'd say that. And now these were probably some of the things that happened over the last decade and more, like last 2 decades. But I think things that are going to come up is definitely the whole machine learning, AI, that's picking up a lot, where the role that plays. More importantly, how do marketers adopt them and really use it to an advantage? Because it's just not about the tools and things being present. How do you get the best out of it is also a skill. I think that is something, I think, like the new crop of marketers are really trying to build and learn and develop to really be ready for tomorrow.
Right. In your career so far, what would you consider as one of the most memorable campaigns you have executed?
I think, yeah, like you said, it's a almost 2 decade. It becomes a pretty long career. So maybe I'll start with the most recent one because, now that I've been with WeWork now about 8 months. No, actually, no, about 10 months now. So I think one of the big opportunity I've had was, the launching our first WeWork in Chennai, right? Like we entered a new market. It's a very different market. So we approached it in a very differentiated manner where we try to opt in some of the local elements into our campaign, into the content that we created, even in the event that we did with our potential members or the kind of people that we want to talk to over there, was also a very beautiful amalgamation of what a global brand brings in and what the local flavors are, and created a very unique sort of an experience for for the people there. And I think we really try to look at the market and the uniqueness of the market, the relevance of some of the traditional media. How do we really bring that into play in a market like this? Because we did feel that print media is still very relevant in a market across our target audience. So we did a very good media mix in that whole communication. I think we were able to create the kind of noise that we wanted to build. I think that was really, really exciting.
But I'm sure there must have been some work that made you unhappy as well, right? Like not all campaigns may have bear the fruit that you had intended. and those failures teach you something. Can you tell me one campaign that tested you and really taught you something new?
Instead of probably talking about a campaign, I can say an approach, right? Like I have worked with so many global brands. Even now, this is a global brand, and the general approach has always been, whatever global is creating, you bring it to the country, you adapt it, and you put it out. I think that it was through learning, and it was through learning through mistakes, that you've realized, no, your consumers are very different in every country. So just retrofitting a global creative or a global campaign to that market doesn't work, because they're humans, they have very unique sentiment, they think differently, they're culturally very different. So how do you bring the best balance of retaining the global aspiration, the tonality which makes the brand, like, which stays true to its core, but at the same time build less, bring in the local flavor, bring in the what really makes your communication palatable and relatable to them.
Hmm.
So I think that has been my biggest learning, if you ask me, through many campaigns, that you have to create something unique for your audience. And as I have sort of progressed in my career, I've also realized, even to look at it like, okay, India, the content needs to be created a certain way, or it needs to be marketed certain way, you cannot. Even in that, I think every region is so different, every culturally it's so different, how their buying behaviors are so different, their ways of discovering is so different. So how do you really understand the consumer, and really get deep down to understanding that aspect, and then craft your communication and your campaign and your marketing and your media mix, is where is and it's it's something you're constantly learning.
From marketing, sports merchandise to automobiles to real estate and now office spaces, you have worked across categories. How different is it marketing? How different is marketing in each of these categories, and what remains the same?
Funny that you say that. This is something a lot of people keep asking me. How did you like navigate across such different sectors? Because to me, like you said, to spend that much time, you have to get excited and you have to constantly learn. Because I'm also somebody who derives a lot of joy from work, and I want to constantly grow and learn, right? So, and my true belief is, in marketing, the core principles are pretty much the same, right? Like, this is like, there's a funnel, there is brand, there is performance marketing, all of this. What differs is the way, again, the target audience that you're talking to and the product. So someone picking up a sneaker can be a snap of a finger decision. Someone buying a car could be like, maybe the gestation period from wanting, research, buying longer. Someone buying real estate could be much longer. So
Yes.
it's that understanding of these different sectors. So I think, for me, the biggest learning is, because for me, I always try to go consumer first, to really try and understand who am I talking to, what is their the consumer behavior, be it from discovering to buying pattern to the entire journey. Having that single view of that customer has been that one thing that I've approached across different sectors. And like you said, what is different is, like the you activate every aspect of marketing, but the ratios will differ. In
Hmm.
what ratio you build something, like, for example, for a sneaker brand, the amount of influencer marketing you will do will be a lot more, right? Because you want it to
Right.
be seen on people. While for a B2B brand, or a real estate brand, it's really about giving the value, putting out the value for the product, such where, in that decision making, you're able to give them enough reasons to see why one must choose this over the other options that's out there. So, the longevity of the communication, and trying to being able to be present in every touch point that your consumer at for a longer period of time would be different.
At a time when performance marketing is the buzzword that's drowning out conversations about brand building, What is your main marketing philosophy?
Like often one has tried to pit performance against brand. To me, they're actually the both side of the same coin, right? Because say you have a really strong media strategy and they're very like insightful, you've got it down to the T. But if the comms piece is not effective enough, you could pump in as much money as you like and go at every the most effective platforms, but if it's not touching your audience and it's not capturing the mind of your audience, it's not cutting the clutter, then it's wasted. Similarly, say you have a great content and you spend all your money in creating that great content, but you absolutely have no clue where your audience is sitting, what is the pattern in which they are consuming your content, what's the funnel that works in a in that category, and are we able to really cater to that, then it's wasted. So to me, I think they both go so hand in hand. One cannot ignore one for the other. True success lies in to be able to razor sharp in your communication, but done in the most creative way. Because one of the biggest, like, I would answer probably your first question, what has changed. Before, we had the luxury of telling a story, the brand had the luxury of telling a story in their own time. Now we have lost that luxury, right? Because the attention span of the consumer is so little. They are
That's true.
bombarded with so much information and so much creativity. So if you don't have a really good creative, you can't cut the clutter. But at the same time, if you don't have understanding of your audience and where it sits and have a razor sharp marketing plan, you're not really able to deliver it at the right time. Because end of the day, we are also optimizing our spends. We want to get bang for our buck. We want to show that it's delivering just not awareness, but how are we building the funnel from an awareness to consideration, and eventually marketers also want to impact business. We just don't want to be a support function anymore, and I think that's very clear. So that's why my philosophy has been, I'm a strong proponent of doing strong content, because I don't think without that you can really, because end of the day you're talking to another human,
Yes.
not saying numbers, it's how you're landing your message, and the most creatively you do, it lands. So that's like very critical. But again, the content is wasted if you're not able to put it at the right place, at the right cost, at the right time, at the right frequency.
Another thing that has changed is the shape of the marketing funnel, right? It's no longer the traditional funnel.
Yeah,
How
yeah, yeah.
has your approach to marketing shifted over the last 5 years? And in your category, how do you divide the media budget?
See, like you said, that marketing funnel is, there's not one way of doing it, right? Sometimes it is also inverted. In
Yeah.
some cases, the marketing funnel is inverted, and some cases, the marketing funnel is expanded, because at the time of discovery, also a purchase can happen.
Hmm.
So I think the biggest thing that change in the marketing strategy would be to first, because we also have a bouquet of products and they all have very, and with that we are targeting very different audiences with very different buying patterns and adoption pattern. So not creating that one marketing funnel for across all products is something that we have moved away from, to be able to look at, yes, this cohort needs a different way, this is the behavior that we have seen. We have done our researches to understand what is the process one follows, what works the most, and accordingly we park. It's not that during awareness you cannot do conversion. So depending really on the product, we try to build the product, and we try to build the marketing funnel. And it should be such that this is also where the single view of customer approach has really helped, and having a very multi-channel approach is very important, because it's not that one linear process that the consumer follows anymore, right? It's really like it's zigzag, etc. So to be able to, if the to be able to be ready with uh you know, that if the audience is actually looking at something and is able and wants to buy, we will create our campaign such that that possibility is there. Or also, if we see that there is a time spent and has gone back, to be able to personalize our communication and go back to that customer again is very important. So what I'd like to say is, we have moved away from one single that linear funnel approach across all products. We have really changed our strategy depending on the product and the lifestyle of the consumer. We have seen we have more and more moved into that single funnel, that single view of customer, and doing our marketing according to that. Another big thing we are trying to do is, we are just not talking about what we are. We try and tell our consumer what is it that they want. So the value, leading with value led communication than information led communication. I think that's another piece that because end of the day, we can say whatever we like. Is that something that your consumer wants to hear?
Right.
We want to first understand what could be their reason for wanting it, what could be their reason for not choosing us. Try to anticipate that and then craft our communication around it to give them reason to believe why this would be the right choice for them.
When you look at the current media spectrum,
Mhm.
TV, digital, what constitutes a winning mix for a marketer, and what is your take on the overall effectiveness of TV plus digital?
TV continues to be relevant, but what I will say is, see, before you didn't have any other choice of, you had limited choice of media, right? So it had to be TV, print, out of home, and TV will continue to be effective whenever you are trying to reach a very large audience, and probably in categories like FMCG, consumer electronic, because you want to be top of mind. You're talking to consumer is probably everywhere. Also, they are watching a lot of television.
Hmm.
Go for a consumer sect like us, TV is not that critical. First, it was maybe it. See, no one, too much of awareness didn't harm anyone. But end of the day, you're constantly optimizing. So if
Right.
you look at, if your consumer is looking at OTT and television, and I in my media mix the OTT sits better, then I will do that. So I would never say that the relevance of television has gone, but the marketeer's success depends on the category the marketer is in, and that's where it, it depends how much of television, how much of print, how much of out of home, how much of digital really comes together. There's no one way to say, okay, this is the success matrix, and if we get this right, you're walking into the winning game. It is never like that. It really depends on the sector you're in. What is your eventual goal? What is the goal and the competition that is there? Because especially in FMCG, you are like fighting for that 1 rupee, right? So then you
Right.
got to be at the top of mind everywhere. That's why you think point of purchase becomes so critical in a category like that. So yeah, the relevance of television is still definitely there, and I believe in it, but it's not relevant for every category. It's not relevant for every business. So it's about being mindful there.
So, is it relevant for WeWork?
It is not relevant for Reebok because right now, if you see, we are present in like 8 markets. So why would I? Because television, you cannot really do
Your target.
focused targeting, right? So in that sense, and also television is a very expensive medium. So if I want
Hmm.
to really impact, and it's also how you want to go about it and where our consumers are. I don't think television, I mean, today television would not, it's a good to do, but is it effective? No, I wouldn't say it is.
All right. You're also a tennis player. What are some of the lessons learned from the tennis court that are also applicable in marketing?
Yeah, I would say tennis, being a tennis player has just not helped me in being a marketer. It has helped me in being the person I am today, because I think sports teaches you things which which nothing else can teach. And I think few things that has worked is, sport. I mean, just not, I mean, because I've played tennis, it's tennis, I'm sure every other sport. It's where you are toiling 6 hours, 8 hours every single day. But in a match, it's that one point that makes or breaks your, all the effort you have put it day in and day out. So to understand, and every top player, I mean, even Roger Federer, in his life, he's lost more games than won. So to understand that, to be able to really accept failure in the right sense and not letting that pull you down, and to be able to bounce back and put that much grit and effort, I think is one of the biggest lesson I have learned, because I have that grit. I feel like no matter what, I can push through. I think that's one of the biggest learning. The second thing is, tennis is a very strategic game. I mean, of course, you need a lot of skill in terms of how you play the racket, but you have to constantly like think your point, strategize your point, think where your weaknesses in your opponent lies. So, to be able to think under pressure, because there's so much pressure when you're playing a match, to be able to think under pressure, to that is also another big learning I've had. Like, it's not that it just, everything crumbles because there's so much load. To be able to take that pressure and keep your mind ticking, I think that is another big thing. The third thing is, never say never, because you could be down 6 to 5 to 15-40. Like, from there you can win. From that one point you could lose, but you can actually completely turn things around. So no matter what your setback in life is, you can always get back on track and win in life. So that positivity, that no matter what setback in you have in life, there is always that little chance which is there. It's up to you whether you're able to convert it or not. I think that is another thing. The third thing is, I think playing sports, you you have a very expanded belief, and I would say a big heart. It takes a lot to play competitive sport. So I think not being petty, because I think in life people can get very petty, a lot of humdrum can pull you down. I think sports gives you that big, the largest of heart and thinking. So I think that is another thing. Actually, you know what, I believe sports can really make somebody a very, very strong personality, and it has definitely worked wonders for me.
Now let's talk a little about WeWork.
Uh-huh.
WeWork India plans to launch over 2 million square feet this fiscal. What
Right.
is your main marketing strategy to get occupants for this space?
Yeah. So as you know, 2 million square feet, but it'll be across different markets, right? So it'll really up depending on the maturity of the brand in that market, we will approach it. There is no one size fits all. It's not like because we have a X strategy for Chennai, it worked and we can replicate that. So it's going to be very different. Also, so it'll really depend on the city we are getting into, the maturity of the business that is there in the city, how we want to position ourselves, which part of our business we are trying to push in that building. So I think it'll be a mix of all of these things, but clearly one thing that will stay true to all is being very relevant in how we communicate, being very nimble to really understand the market, and to be able to pick up those little nuances and use it to our advantage. Third, creating relevant communication so that the audience really understand what our offerings are, and why they are in the right place and the right time to opt for this. Give them enough reasons and communicate that effectively through effective channels, and do the as perfect as it can be the media mix, depending on the market and the product and the micro market. Actually, it also depends on which micro market that you're talking to, because you cannot say the viewer consumer is the same across all buildings, all cities. In fact, in some cities also we have seen there's a difference in a certain micro market, a very maybe like a lot of techies are there. Probably in another micro market we see a lot of solo entrepreneurs are there. So again, if it so we will look into that detail. So our approach will be really like getting as much insight as possible, understand that this market that we are talking to, this what really we are going to impact, and then craft our marketing communication and strategy basis that.
Who do you see as a major competition and how do you tackle it? I'm not asking about other co-working spaces, but I mean like apart from, of course, they are your most natural competitors. But like for example, do you think of work from home as a concept being a competition?
That the whole ecosystem of work is changing, right? I think post COVID, the whole flexible workplace became a thing. So for in fact, to us that's an advantage, because no one is able to create this kind of customized solution, because yes, there is work from home, but there is also the whole narrative of back to office, and it's actually a mix of both today. So
Hmm.
barely are we seeing people working from home. The most that is happening is the flexible workspace, which is an absolute sweet spot for us. So we
Right.
see that, where the environment is today and what the need of the hour is. Nobody is better placed to cater to that need than we are, and we are constantly focused on how can we do this even better with every passing day.
Like what you said, most organizations are now going back to working from offices. How do you see co-working spaces growing in the country?
I mean, there are many reports that suggest that it's a very, very huge, there is a huge potential in this market, in the way offices are approaching. People are moving away from these long lease own real estate and finding ways. There is a lot of work that goes in, right? Like, people don't like to do those dirty work to maintain their office, and to be able to find a partner who not only gives you the space but gives you the best in class in tech, in experience in managing your office. I think it's a great place where we are today, and the industry is only up for growth. And I think as a brand, we acknowledge it, and we are prepping to ride that growth.
Right. Lastly, what are some of the challenges WeWork faces in India?
One of the biggest challenge would have been, we've really launched a number of products very quickly, because we are very agile. We want, the minute we find there is a need, let's create something and address. I think that could have like, to be not, that could have diluted in the understanding of what WeWork India is, what are its bouquet of products, who is it meant for, how can a member today have probably their entire, or an entrepreneur today have their entire life journey with WeWork. I think that understanding and of who we are and how we can support, be it an enterprise or an individual entrepreneur or like a small office, from inception to probably going public, we have it all within our ecosystem to serve. But I think we have probably not communicated that as effectively as we would like, because there is just so much we have to offer. So I think that's what I think the marketer's job is. My team's job is to really communicate it, because we've got like a bouquet of fantastic products, and we actually, no one needs to look anywhere for anything. We can create that for you. And
Right.
I just feel that there is a huge opportunity there, and that's what we want to work and put it out there to make people understand how much we can give.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Devasmita, taking the time today for this. It's really interesting, the things you've told us. We've learned a lot through this conversation.
I hope so. I hope this was good for you. It was lovely talking to you too.